As many of you know, ARTBA is very dedicated to advocacy, and in addition to that, they're also really a leader in job site safety, construction site safety, and so we are thrilled to have Brad Sant, Senior Vice President of Construction Education and Safety at ARTBA, here with us today to talk about some new initiatives in construction safety that ARTBA is leading the charge on. Thanks, Brad.
The thing I guess I want you to think about as we talk about construction safety, we look around us, and in the heavy and highway industry, we have challenges that the rest of construction does not face. For example, when we are working in construction, we cannot put up a chain link fence and tell everybody to stay out. This is a construction zone, hard hat area, whatever it may be. In heavy and highway, what do we get to separate us from the public? A drum, a cone, a piece of plastic, and if we're lucky, sometimes a little bit of a concrete barrier. And the public that we are exposed to in our construction zones is not pedestrians or not motorists passing by us in a parking lot or on a side urban street. We have vehicles traveling at 70 miles per hour, 50 miles per hour, with a little bit of plastic to separate us. And so the industry we work in is extremely dangerous. We can't keep doing the things we have been to try to improve safety and do things better, because think of this. In construction safety, how would it be if a crane was dropping its load on a New York or a Chicago street every 10 or 12 minutes and killing a person? Would we get away with that? Yet in work zones, we have been seeing 700 deaths annually for the last 10 years, and that hasn't changed. We did make a little bit of progress in the early 2000. We came down from 1,100 fatalities in work zones down to about 700. But since 2007, that number has stayed at about 700 fatalities in work zones. What's more interesting is of those fatalities, about 135 are workers. The rest are motorists. So we have in heavy and highway construction a very dangerous situation. We said to ourselves, what can we do different to change this? How can we make this work zone a safer place for both the workers and the motorists? And what we came up with was very different. All of you sitting here, does anybody have a degree in safety? Say a certified safety professional type. Okay, we've got one, okay? How would you like to put after your name the SCTPP we're going to talk about, saying that you're certified in safety, a credential for every other construction worker besides the safety guy? That's what we're talking about. To do something different, we decided that we want to certify in safety, not the professional, but how about the foreman, the supervisor, the crew leader, the operator, even the laborer? What about the engineer that comes on site to inspect? What about the company owner who's really ultimately responsible for the safety functioning? So what we've developed here now is a new certification for people who don't have safety as their primary job. Well, I guess we would say everybody has safety as their primary job. So let me show a video quickly, about a 6-minute video, that's going to talk about some of our industry leaders and how they felt about the importance of starting a new certification for the non-safety professional. So we'll shoot the video right now.
We had a project that I was involved with where one of the employees on the job site was killed. And as I met with the grieving father, he stuck his finger in my face and said, "Why did you kill my son? Why did you kill my son?"
I've had the unfortunate experience of being to funerals for our employees. Sit in the front row with the family, listen to the moms and the grandmoms, try to console them, and sometimes there's just really not much you can say.
What do you say to somebody with that? I'm sorry doesn't begin to express the depth of concern that you have for them and the responsibility that you feel for it.
50,000 people. That's how many are killed or injured in and around U.S. transportation construction projects each year, according to the Federal Highway Administration. The loss of life alone is traumatic and takes an enormous toll on families and employers. Add in the costs of these tragic incidents, and the cumulative impacts are staggering. 2016 will be remembered as the year that transportation design and construction industry leaders decided status quo safety training was no longer enough. Through the ARTBA Transportation Development Foundation, these leaders brought together nationally recognized safety professionals to put forward a game-changing, next-level initiative. The culmination of this effort, the innovative Safety Certification for Transportation Project Professionals program. It has been designed to meet the rigorous protocols required for accreditation by the International Organization for Standardization and the American National Standards Institute. The program's goal: to significantly boost the hazard awareness and risk management skills of all transportation project professionals who are in positions of influence, from project inception through completion, to cause a decline in safety incidents. It is aimed at the thousands of industry professionals who could make a huge, industry-wide impact by learning core competencies necessary to identify and mitigate potentially life-threatening on-site risks.
I think one of the main benefits of this program is it gives so many people the opportunity to get the certification. If you look at the group that we're targeting, we're going down from laborer to foreman to superintendent to project manager to project executive to safety professional, the designers in the industry that design things to think about safety when they're putting people in harm's way.
There is not any safety program, safety certification, safety training program like this anywhere in the industry. I'm a civil engineer by degree. I'm a registered professional engineer. There's nothing that they teach in school that gets to the depth of what this program is going to do. And this program is really an identification of hazards and how to start to think about what we're building differently.
You know, a lot of what we do is just work and getting through this and getting through that. This can be a game changer for our industry. And what has me so excited about it is that it's the type of certification that can be taken by our craft workers, it can be taken by our field managers, our superintendents, our project engineers, project managers. And to me, more importantly, it can be and needs to be taken by the design professionals.
The program is also intended to create a safety benchmark for all future civil engineering and construction management program graduates who are interested in employment with industry-leading firms. An independent certification commission was established to develop program policies and provide leadership, governance, and oversight. It includes a roster of heavy hitters from the transportation project, planning, design, and materials sectors, government, organized labor, and the trucking and the insurance industries. Experienced safety matter experts from the public and private sectors identified the core competencies to be tested and created the certification exam questions in key topic areas.
Anything that you can do in your organization to increase safety awareness, and that's what is so great about this program. It's safety awareness not just in one company, not just in one job, not just in one state, but it's for the whole transportation industry. So I would challenge anybody that's the benefit. If you do that and it saves one life in your organization over a 25-year period, it would be the best investment that you ever made.
And the more people we get into the certification, the better it's going to be, because the more eyes out there, the better. That's what safety is all about. That's what saving lives is all about. Because not one person or two people can catch it all the time.
So I think this really has an opportunity to fundamentally change the safety in the environment for everyone who goes through or works in a construction zone.
So that gives you a kind of a high-level overview of what we're trying to accomplish. to certify the foremen, the supervisors. All you folks that are sitting here today would have the opportunity to earn the certification. Now, I think from the onset we should say this is not training. This is a test. You will get your training and your education wherever you may get it. OSHA training, on-the-job training, toolbox talks, wherever it comes from. But then you're going to demonstrate that all that training had a purpose, that you learned something through taking an exam. And that's what it's about. So let's move forward a little bit in our discussion. From our perspective, American Road and Transportation Builders and the construction industry, we are concerned about our workers. We are concerned about making sure they go home at night, as we often hear, because 135 deaths per year. We need to make sure that that stops and that ends. The next point is to consider the public health. In heavy and highway construction, we, by the nature of our work, and as we try to do it as safely as we can, we are putting the public at risk because we're changing the roadway, we're changing the configurations. We no longer have the ability to build and construct in brand new areas and brand new roads through fields that have never been touched before. Most of our work happens through renovation and maintenance, so we're working adjacent to traffic. That puts the motorists at risk, so we need to deal with that. And again, as these numbers show, 65,000 crashes, 48,000 injuries, 625 now, last number 700 deaths in 2015 in work zones. So we got a huge public health issue to deal with. Again, we talk about the worker deaths. That number of deaths, 125 to 135 workers, that number of workers has been dying in our industry for the last 35 years. We haven't moved that number. So how are we going to do something different? How are we going to change that? And again, the cost of those fatalities to our companies and to the industry are significant. And in a time where we're trying to get as much money as we can to rebuild our infrastructure, we don't want to be wasting in areas where it's not productive, where it's not towards the building, and that's what death and injury costs. So what makes this different? What makes this unique? This is the group it's targeted at. You folks maybe have a safety guy in your company who's doing the work, and you kind of think, that's the safety guy's job. We're changing that whole thought process, that entire dynamic now, to say that it's your job, and your job, and your job, and your job, and you are certified to make sure that happens. Now, before that alarms you, let me explain for just a minute what we're expecting, because we are not expecting you to be like a safety director or a safety manager. We're not expecting you to have that kind of knowledge up here. But here's what we want to expect, that any one of you who are on the job site are going to go there and be able to recognize common hazards. So if you walk onto a job site, let's say, and you see a trench, you may not know how to classify the soil, say that's an A, B, or C soil. You're not going to know the proper ratios for benching or shoring, but you are going to have enough knowledge, or you should have enough to say that trench is 5 feet. If there's a person in there, there needs to be some protection for that worker. Likewise, you may be standing near the temporary traffic control, and it's an interstate highway, and you're seeing that cars are merging really late. They may be striking the drums or striking the cones, and you're thinking, I don't know how to calculate how long a taper should be and how many cones should be in a taper, but I can tell that that's not right because the cars are hitting it all the time, so we need to call somebody to get it fixed. That's the kind of knowledge we want to make sure that the people who have the ability, who are on the job site every day, those supervisors, those foremen, those crew leaders, that they know that there are a certain kind of common hazards that I should be aware of, and I may not be the expert in that area, but I know enough to call somebody and get an expert in. That's the kind of knowledge we're looking for. So, as we look about doing this, we want to make sure we're doing it right. This isn't just a certification program that I self-certified or that ARTBA self-certified. We're following very strict international protocols to be accredited, and so we brought in industry experts to make sure we're doing it right. And this is a commission now that oversees the program. What you might find interesting is the range of people that are here, because you might expect, you can't see it on there, you might expect people like contractors to be there, maybe even U.S. Department of Transportation. Victor Mendez, he just left with the change in administration at Federal Highway, but it's still part of the commission. What's interesting is to see engineering firms like WSP. What's interesting is to see cargo transporters, a big trucking company, because they're users and they're the ones that are driving in and out of the work zone. So they're telling us, manufacturers, insurance. Who else do we have here? The unions, the laborers training fund. Again, engineering firms. So we've got this broad group of experts who are telling us what to do and making sure the certification runs properly. The next group of individuals that I think is critical to see is who developed the program. It wasn't me sitting in a room. What we did is we gathered experts from across the country who are dealing with construction safety, and they're the ones that told us, if you want to change what's happening, if you want to get rid of those 135 worker fatalities or those 700 dead motorists, we need to change who we're talking to. And they're the ones that said, let's make it every one of you in the audience and not necessarily the safety professional. So we brought in a group of experts from all across the country. And again, you'll see a lot of insurance companies there, but you'll also see things like other trade associations besides ARTBA, like the National Asphalt Pavement Association. You'll see the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, the head of construction safety for NIOSH. Again, lots of different contractors, organized labor, and we brought all these people together. They've sat combined in our offices for probably 6 or 7 weeks, not all at the same time, but over several years, to develop the program and to tell us what we need to do to make construction sites safe. We also brought in a very senior consulting group that does this certification, and they've walked us through the process to make sure we get it right. So again, once you get this designation, once you're able to put John Doe /SCTPP showing you're certified and that your letters, that's recognized through ANSI and the International Standards Organization. So why are we doing this? Why do we think it's important? Who's telling us that we need to create a new certification? Because a lot of times in the industry, it's like, you're kidding. One more thing I've got to do, one more training course I've got to go through. It's come to us from many ways. It came to my attention because of all the deaths and injuries that we've seen earlier. But we also are hearing from owners, the agencies who own the roads, the state DOTs, the toll authorities. And they're telling us as we're giving more and more work to the private sector, as we're farming this out, we want to make sure they are competent, that you know that they are able to do safety right. So they're the ones that are telling us, get this safety certification. And we may see this more recognized by the industry, by the owners, in very shortly, in time coming on. All right, so more than anything, I think this slide will try to explain what we're doing here. What we want to say is that every construction project has a beginning and an end. That's nothing new. But in each step of the way, there is a lot of people involved in these projects. If we were to ask, how competent are all these people with regards to safety in the job site, the answer is going to be, I don't know. It's all over the place. There's no basic level of understanding that is required in the construction industry in general, and specifically in heavy and highway, where we've got to deal with the motorists and the public. So what our certification is going to do now is create what we call a new baseline, an expectation that everybody will have at least a minimum level of understanding and they'll be able to perform. So that when you go onto a job site and you see that there's people that are certified, you're going to know that everyone can speak and operate from the same level of safety. So that's what we're doing. That's the kind of reach the certification will do. That you go on the job site and those people that are responsible, you can expect that they'll at least have a basic understanding of what's important. So do you qualify? Are you able to sit for the exam? The threshold is very low because it's a broad audience of what you need to do to be able to qualify. And then it's certainly, there's 3 different options based on your background, but it's years of experience plus 1 of any of these courses. OSHA 10, OSHA 30, OSHA 510, OSHA 500. That's what it takes to sit for the exam to see if you're qualified. Or if you have a degree in engineering or construction management, we'll drop 1 of those years of experience down. Or if you actually have a degree in safety, you just want to make sure you have enough experience. What do you need to know? Just as I mentioned, basic understanding of occupational safety and health hazards, of temporary traffic control hazards, and just how a job site should be run to have a good safe culture, and if there is an incident, how to go about investigating that. How do you take the test? You know, we changed this very recently. It used to be that you had to go at a certain time during the year. Now you can simply, once you send in and apply and you get recognized, okay, they have the training, they have the experience, they're qualified to take the test. Once you're approved, then we give you a link to a website and you'll be able to go out and schedule your test whenever it's convenient to you at a site that is convenient to you. We've contracted with a group called Pearson, and these are the people that offer tests. That's all they do, is they offer computer-based tests. So whether you're going to get in college and take your ACT or your SAT, if you're going for a nursing license, they will be sitting next to you perhaps as you're going to take your certification exam. And it's not difficult. It might be scary, but you're going to sit in front of a computer, multiple choice questions, and you pick one of 4 answers. A computer-based test. And it'll be very convenient. There's multiple centers in every state, so you'll be able to go when you can at a convenient time and place. Now also you may be thinking out here, wow, I'm really good in the occupational safety side, but I'm not so good in the temporary traffic control. Not mandatory by any means. You can get your education wherever you want it, but we do offer online training, so you can beef up in certain areas and take all the courses. There are 6 courses that cover all the topics on the exam, or take 1 or 2. And the nice part too is all of these courses carry with them professional development hours. So if you have a license or something you're trying to keep up with, you can use this training to do that. So again, we've just started it. It's brand new. It launched in January. This slide is already outdated. We're approaching now 100 people that have been certified, which we're very excited about for just a month and a half of having this training open in mid-January. And you can go take the test anytime, anywhere. And all the information about the test, all the stuff I've talked about, you go to a website, simply puttingsafetyfirst.org. There's materials there that tell you about what I've talked about today. If you're qualified, materials to help you prepare for the exam, the online training is there, practice tests, all that type of information is all there to help you prepare for the exam. And again, the point I want to end with is this is not just about a certification or getting a new license or something new. This is about what we need to do to move the mark so that 700 people and 48,000 more being injured, we can somehow move that needle that we haven't moved for over a decade. Some numbers we haven't moved in 30 years. So as an industry, this is what we need to do to suddenly change the norm and make our work zones and our workers safer. Thank you very much.